I am Marcus James Dixon with Gold Derby, and we are here with Cillian Murphy, whose film Oppenheimer is getting closer and closer to the $1 billion mark worldwide. Cillian, what goes through your mind when you hear that atomic bomb of a box office number? Are you the mind blown emoji right now?
I think we're all very pleasantly surprised by how brilliantly it's done. Uh, we all knew we had a great movie, but you can never tell. But it feels wonderful. Chris presents his films in a very particular way. They are made for theaters. They are made for IMAX theaters, and it seemed like people responded to the movie and to the presentation, and yeah, we're really thrilled. People went many times as well. People tell me that they've gone 4 or 5 times to see the movie, which is really special.
Hmm. And you've worked with Christopher Nolan multiple times over the years.
Yeah.
What is something you know about him now that you didn't know 20 years ago when you started working together on Batman Begins?
Well, that's a good question. I think our tastes are very much kind of aligned, myself and Chris. They probably always were, but that's probably clarified over the years. I think working together, and I think we both enjoy similar stories, and we both enjoy kind of similar characters. Um, the working together has become, we've become a lot closer, I think, professionally, and I think that you get to a point when you re-collaborate with somebody so much. I've had it a few times, not just with Chris, but in other mediums as well, in television and theater, and you develop this shorthand, um and it almost gets to the point where you can kind of just work without talking, without wasting too much time talking around what you need to do, because I think when you're on set, time is the most important commodity you can possibly have. So myself and Chris don't waste too much time on set talking about it. We do an awful lot of talking, like, beforehand, and I spent 6 months rehearsing, or preparing, I should say, for Oppenheimer, and there was an awful lot of conversation then. But when we get on set, when we get on the floor, we just work, and that is something that comes with trust and time and really understanding a person.
Hmm. And Chris said that he wrote the Oppenheimer script in the first person. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, how did that change your perception of the words on the page as the actor?
Well, I'd never encountered a script written like that. That was a
Yeah.
first for me, for sure. And what it does, I suppose, is just really put into focus how subjective the storytelling was going to be. It was very much going to be through Oppenheimer's eyes. He wanted the audience to be right there with Oppenheimer as he experienced all these momentous kind of moments in history, and had to find his way through all these astonishing, the biggest of moral dilemmas. Um, so it just made me realize that this was a different type of biopic. I don't think it even fits into the traditional category of biopic. I think it's something much more.
Mhm.
But it made me really realize that he wanted it to be as immersive for the audience as he wanted it to be for me in terms of the performance.
J. Robert Oppenheimer, he's certainly a controversial figure in American history. How did you approach him as an actor? Did you see him as a villainous person, a heroic figure, somewhere in between?
Yeah, I don't ever make those types of decisions
Mm.
playing any character. I never put them into any category, good, bad, or indifferent. I just try to understand them, try to figure them out. Um, and he was so multifaceted, so complex, so contradictory. It was a joy to play, and it was quite terrifying at the beginning. There was so much, and he is such an iconic real life figure. I'd never played somebody who was that well known. And I think, what I learned at the end is that I think he was intensely human, which is a great thing to play, because he was so flawed, and um, it was so huge that I just had to go at it bit by bite by bite, and just go at it slowly. and carefully and with a lot of consideration and sensitivity and empathy, which is what I always do, but even more so on this one, because he's, as you say, quite divisive, and we all live in Oppenheimer's world now. We all live in the nuclear age because of what happened in 45. There's no denying that.
And your co-star Emily Blunt plays Kitty, the wife of J. Robert Oppenheimer. I imagine having Emily's fun energy on set was very welcome because of the dark subject matter of the project.
Yeah.
Talk about her if you can.
Sure. I mean, Emily Blunt is one of my favorite people in the whole world, as an actor and as a person. And we worked together on Quiet Place 2 and have remained really good friends since that movie. So I think Chris was, really smart in casting Emily, because I think he knew that you not only get one of the greatest actors in the world, but you also get this history that we have together as friends. And it's always difficult when you play a character who's in a lifelong relationship, as these guys were, and you just have to kind of develop that history or portray that history. And you can do it, but it always helps when you have some of it for real. And as you say, yeah, some of the work was very, very intense, but she is the best and most generous scene partner you could possibly wish for. And we did have a lot of fun, despite what you think, because for me, the way I work is I need to be relaxed. I have to be in a state of relaxation or on set, because otherwise tension is no use to you as an actor. And so Emily always brought the levity, and we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun when we were in that old age makeup together. That was good crack. But she's the best. Yeah, I'm mad about her.
And Robert Downey Jr., you hadn't worked with him before, had you?
No, this is my first time. Yeah.
And I mean, such a career best performance from him. Do you have a favorite moment working with Robert on the set?
All of them, I have to say. All of them. He's just, I mean, we all know this. He's electrifying. He's absolutely electrifying on screen. And I don't know if I've worked with an actor who's more charismatic on and off screen than Downey. And it felt to me there was some special fizz between the two of us in the room, on the floor. And that dynamic was so well drawn by Chris. That sort of competitive thing that they have going on. And I just absolutely adored every minute. Again, another tremendously generous performer. All he wants is to find the truth in the scene, to find the honesty in the scene, and he is fully there and got your back, supporting you in every way possible, and delivered this just scintillating kind of performance like we've never seen him before, I think.
And let's talk about some of the crafts on the film. I mean, the costumes. How many of those pork pie hats did you actually try on before the costume designer found the absolute perfect one for you?
It was in the camera tests, we found one that was pretty good, I think. But then she sort of traveled the world looking for another one, and we did. I think it was eventually made in LA. You'd have to ask Ellen. I don't remember the person that made it, but Chris was very, very specific about the hat, and he was constantly adjusting it and trying to get for it to sit correctly. And I think we had two hats, I think, in the end. It was kind of like a stunt hat and a hero hat, from what I recall. You'd really have to ask Ellen. She's a fascinating, tremendous, brilliant costume design.
I think we chatted with her very recently.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And there's so many, the visual effects are spectacular. The sound is amazing. I'm curious, did you actually witness any actual explosions on set, or was it all added later in post?
Chris is really loath to give away the secrets of that explosion, okay, other than to say that we all know that there was no CGI, that it was all in camera and for real. There was elements of it that I witnessed in the bunker that night in the desert, So there was elements of it there, but then there was all combinations of things. Andrew Jackson, who's the visual effects wizard, he, himself and Chris have their mysterious ways which they make that. But it was I remember seeing it for the first time, and it was gobsmacking, breathtaking. When you see it in the theater, it does absolutely sort of take your breath away.
and the iconic line, and now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. What do you
Yeah.
recall from that day on set when you spoke that line?
This goes back to your first question. I think, because there is such a good understanding between myself and Chris, we always knew that line was going to come up. It features twice in the movie, once in a VO and once on camera, and there wasn't much to say about that one. You kind of knew the weight of it, and you knew sort of again how iconic it was. So we just kind of knew it was very cleverly placed where he placed it in the movie the first time. In that scene with Gene Tatlock. So again, we knew if it was right, or we'd know if it was wrong. We kind of just know together.
Hmm. What was the most challenging scene to film from your perspective? Was there any moment that just kept you up at night the night before? Like, am I going to pull this off? Like, how are we going to do this as a team?
All of it, I mean, I have to say, all of it, it was so challenging, the whole thing. We worked at an incredible pace. We shot the movie in 57 days. It was frenetic. But the scenes never felt rushed. That's Chris's kind of gift, that the scenes, the performances are always paramount. That's why his films succeed. I think they succeed on the basis of the performances. Sometimes the call sheet would be, you get your call sheet at nighttime and you go, oh my goodness, I've got Kenneth Branagh is coming in tomorrow. Oh my goodness, I've got Gary Oldman's coming in tomorrow. That was a pinch yourself kind of thing. But again, you can't let that stuff get to you. They're all there to work for Chris, to work with Chris, because they adore him. So every day was challenging. So I can't give you one particular anecdote on that, I'm afraid.
Well, this is a movie and a performance that people are going to be talking about for years to come. And I'm curious, what would it mean for you as a working actor for Oppenheimer to be your very first Best Actor Oscar nomination? What I mean, talk us through that. What's your mind set?
I mean, honestly, I have never thought about it, and I try not to think about it too much. We when we're making movies, you just want to make the best movie possible. And the movie isn't finished really until you show it to an audience, and now it's been out, and the audiences have responded in a great way. And anything else that comes from that is very, very lovely to know that other people have enjoyed the movie. It's nice to know that people in your peer group have watched the movie and enjoy it. So I'm very flattered by all of it. Very flattered.
Mm. And for folks out there who don't know much about the IMAX cameras, you mentioned earlier, people have been watching this on IMAX screens for
Yeah.
months and months and months. What's something you can share with us? Like, for example, do you have to act differently knowing it's going to be so close up on your face?
I'm kind of used to this now with Chris, because I'm a kind of like I've done 6 movies, so I'm kind of like used to these huge. I'm a veteran, IMAX veteran. But they're huge, and the thing that is extraordinary about them is they're very, very noisy. They are like really, really, really noisy and huge. But our DP Hoyte van Hoyteman is such an extraordinary camera operator and DP, and you despite the size, you develop this kind of very intimate relationship with the camera team and the whole camera department. You get used to it. I kind of knew that he wanted to use it a lot for close-up work. So I knew that the camera would be right there, and I always wanted the performers anyway to feel like to be a very interior, small performance. And you kind of in the back of your head, that it's going to be on an 80-foot screen in IMAX, so you can afford that subtlety, and so I'm pleased that worked out.
And this is an interesting question from one of our writers, Christopher Tsang. I wanted to get your take on it. If someone was going to play you in a biopic, what would be the hardest thing about you that they would have to get right?
Oh man, that's a trick question. Come on, I don't really know. I've never even thought about that. I don't know if my life merits a biopic. I don't know if you'd be able to raise the money. It'd be a tricky pitch.
Well, before we go, I do have one Peaky Blinders question. What do you
Oh
miss
yeah,
most about the show? I mean, that was 6 seasons, 10 years of your life. The fans are
yeah,
very dedicated.
yeah. I don't miss the haircut. I mean, I miss the quality of the writing, I guess. I miss the crew and the actors that, that you develop you have to develop a very close relationship with. So I miss a lot of those things. But as you say, it was a long time, and I learned a lot from playing Tommy. But it's nice to have a little rest because he was exhausting. He was a really relentlessly exhausting character to play because he never slept or ate. So and his brain was always going. But yeah, I don't miss the haircut.
Well, Cillian, thank you so much for chatting with us today. Best of luck this award season. It's going to be a fun one, I think.
Thank you so much. Lovely to talk to you.